This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the chairman and CEO of Hannan Metals, a company I think is going to be one of the, if not the most exciting drill stories of 2025. I'm talking, of course, about Mr. Michael Hudson from Hannan Metals. Mike, it's great to have you back on. How are you? I know you've been busy, as have I. It's good to chat and catch up a bit.
I'm very well, thanks, Gerardo. It's been a busy start to the year, a bit of momentum in the industry, and great time to have big copper and gold projects, I would say.
Well, listen, let's get right into it. Not only do you have big copper and gold projects, you are on the verge, months away from starting to test and put the truth machine to what I think is going to be an emerging, exciting, prolific, brand new copper gold mineral district. Within that, you have the DIA issued on 3 separate projects, right? And the latest news release highlights the Sortilegio copper gold porphyry, which of course is part of the 100% owned Valiente project belt. You pick your name, but I would love for you to give us educated take on this specific project, because this is now the third, potentially, as you describe it, company making project that we'll be testing here shortly.
So let's stand back. We have a new copper gold porphyry epithermal alkalic porphyry and alkalic gold, so slash all those different styles of mineralization that's emerging in a plus 100-kilometer long belt that we've got, around about 1,000 square kilometers staked. We've identified 18 different systems. We've worked on 5 or 6 of them in more detail, and then narrowing it down again. There's 3 of these systems which form an area called Valiente over about 9 kilometers. It has 3 different mineral systems within that 9.3 kilometers. We have at the southern end Ricardo Herrera. Ricardo Herrera is a copper plus or minus gold porphyry. At the northern end is Sortilegio, which we'll talk about, which is a copper gold alkalic porphyry. And in between is Vista Alegre, which looks like an epithermal gold system. And at the end of last year at Valiente, over that 9.3 kilometers, we ran a fairly extensive IP survey, an induced polarization geophysical survey that basically identifies sulfides and clays essentially in the ground. And what's so important about sulfide and clay? Well, sulfide is either pyrite or chalcopyrite or other minerals that are sulfidic, and they actually hold a charge. So when you put a charge into the ground and turn that charge at surface off, the sulfides release the charge they're holding slower than the surrounding rocks that are more resistive. So you can measure chargeability and as a proxy measure sulfide, and the sulfides are generally associated with copper plus or minus gold. Not always, but it's a pretty good link. And then you can also measure resistivity, which is the inverse in the geophysical world to conductivity. So if you have low resistivity, it's high conductivity, and that's where you get electricity passing literally through the rocks if a thing's conductive, like a copper wire in your house is conductive, and that's we're probably mapping not disseminated sulfides there because they need to be connected. We're mapping probably clays that if you've got a wet sock, it will be more conductive than a dry sock, and wet clays that hold water are more conductive than a dry sandstone, if you like. So we're mapping clays. And why are clays important? Because around these mineral systems, they form alteration that when the metal-rich solutions come up from below, they alter the rocks and convert them into clays. So we want to see a mix of sulfides and clays in these systems, and then that can help us target these systems with drill holes when combined with the surface geochemistry and the mapping that we've done, and that's what we've done at Sortilegio.
Tell me a bit about how the potential target, right? We talk often about exploration targets, and obviously there's ways to get to a kind of back of the napkin type calculation. But in this case, the anomaly remains open to both the north and the south. So how at what point do you decide, Mike, okay, let's focus on the parts that we've been able to de-risk with the multiple disciplines, right? As opposed to continuing to chase it, because you have an abundance, a wealth of targets here within Belen, and then within each of the projects, several of those remain open, right? How do you prioritize that?
So it's biting off as much as you can chew while demonstrating scale, I suppose. So it's always a balance between demonstrating a scale of a system, because nobody's interested in a small system, nor are we. But also there's always scarce resources to run enough geophysics. So we go in there with cheaper methods always, like soil sampling with portable XRFs, rather than sending laboratory samples to the laboratory that take 50 or 60 bucks per sample. And with an XRF, we can measure the base metals, essentially for free once we bought one of those XRFs. So we use a variety of different methods to de-risk targets, and geophysics is not hugely expensive, but this was maybe $100,000 to $150,000 survey over the Balen area. So we wanted to make sure we focused on what we thought were the best parts of the system, and 9 kilometers is a big system, and we wanted to de-risk for drilling. Now, drilling is the most expensive part of our business. You're drilling probably for $300 per meter. So every core tray that has 4 meters of core is like a $1,200 bunch of rock, and you want to treat that like a very expensive Van Gogh painting or something, right? I suppose Van Gogh's more than $1,200, but it's very, very expensive. So you want to drill in your best parts. So it's always using cheaper and progressively more expensive methods to de-risk targets. And at Sortalecchio, we've now matched the geochemistry with the IP that induced polarization. So the copper at surface matches chargeable anomalies from surface going to great depths, 400 or 500 meters, and we've extended those anomalies out over the Sortalecchio area for more than a kilometer, 1.2 kilometers, and so it's actually goes down even deeper, 500 meters. So it's the business of exploration, and you take big swings and be confident, but do it within the budgets, because the cost of capital at these low market caps, a company like Hannan, can be blown out if you spend too much inappropriately too early.
What are you hoping to see when the drill machines start turning, when the truth machine starts turning at Sortilegio?
Well, we hope that we can find the higher grade parts of the system early on. So there's no doubt that we have 2 porphyries and an epithermal system that have a lot of metal associated with them. The key question is, at what grade is that metal? When you get below the oxide zone, that tends to leach the metals in the top 30, 40, 50 meters. So it's getting below that, and what is the inherent grade of these systems? And every mineral system forms distinctly, even though we put things in boxes. So we've got to learn the structural controls and the controls on where that grade is, and get to that early on. So that is our next challenge, and that's what we do. That's what we're pretty good at doing, or at least think we're pretty good at doing. And there's a fair bit of luck, but you've got to create your luck and understand it. And it's all a mix of where you target first up. But we've got all the data. We've got the permits that are almost in hand. We've got the big DIA, the Declaration Impacto Ambiental, that was granted at the end of November. We've done all the work post that to collect the reissued certificate from archaeological remains. We've got all the sign off from the local people. So we've got an initiate activities application now in, and our guidance is still the same. Q2, we hope to be drilling this Baleine system as we advance the other parts of the project, including Previsto, which is truly the monster in terms of how it sits, the scale of that system, 20 kilometers away. So a lot of exciting things happening.
I'm excited for these 3 projects. I can't wait to get an update on the monster. I think, let's be frank, there's definitely eyeballs on this initial drill program that we're hoping happens here in early Q2. These 3 projects, again, you've described as potential company makers each respectively. We have zero doubt that Previsto is indeed a potential company maker that can be something globally, as you describe, very, very significant. And I know there's still data coming in and that you've done a lot of great work on that project. I can't wait to see what else you're able to discover there and see you and the team prioritize the next steps as it relates to permitting on that front, right?
No, it's all primed. I've said for many years, Hannan is one of those companies you need to buy and put in your back pocket. Well, please do that. But the waiting is almost over.
Looking forward to an exciting 2025. Mike, thank you as always for your time. Hopefully we're chatting soon.
Thanks, Gerardo.
All right, cheers. Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.